I am the Unclaimed Property Administrator for the state of Utah, Johnston. We have the Unclaimed Property Division as a portion of the Treasurer's Office, which has a primary mission of returning money to rightful owners that's become lost or abandoned. One of the things in my prior history was I served in the U.S. Navy as a supply corps officer. So I worked in logistics for 20 years of my career with the Navy. And part of that time I was deployed overseas. On my deployment, I experienced the challenges of communication halfway around the world when you've got several time zones in between you and businesses back home where you need to conduct business. That can be challenging. I know that we have a mobile society now nationwide. People are moving more frequently now than they have in prior decades. And the military members, I believe, experience even a higher level of mobility in that population. And so every time there's a move, there's a greater likelihood of potentially having some credit balance or rebate check or some other kind of a check that comes in the mail get lost or mistaken for junk mail and not opened and cashed. And those items go uncashed, and ultimately they get reported to the State Unclaimed Property Division. We post them on our website so that people can get their money back. And so as we're approaching Veterans Day in 2020, we wanted to take a special effort to reach out to military members and let them know that as they think about Veterans Day, that they think about looking for their lost unclaimed property at the state's website. Go to mycash.utah.gov, search your name, and get your money back. Because sometimes do things get set aside, they get lost, they get forgotten. I know when I first came to work for the division, I didn't think I had any unclaimed property because I had looked at the website earlier and noticed my name was not there. But once I came to work here, one of my coworkers brought it to my attention that there was a small PayPal balance that had been reported in my name years and years ago. And I got that money back. So things happen to everyone. I happened to be one of those that had a small amount that was claimable, and so I got it back. Worked for me. I served in East Africa for a while, in Djibouti, which is nearby Somalia. I did happen to be on station in Djibouti when Captain Phillips was kidnapped by the Somali pirates just off the coast from where we were stationed. They made a movie out of that experience. Tom Hanks starred as Captain Phillips, and he was a really gutsy guy. He was the captain of the ship, and he basically told his crew to go hide and stay hidden away from the hijackers, the pirates, and gave himself up as a hostage to basically negotiate with the pirates. And because he was a gutsy guy, and the special forces that were involved in that operation were able to rescue him without harm to him, other than the emotional trauma, obviously, that would exist from captivity. But that was an interesting time, and I will say that the movie, I believe, was very close to the actual events of that incident out on the high seas, and a daring rescue, if you will, of a captive American. So that was very rewarding to be able to play a small part in that success. The other thing while I was there, every so many months, we would get a little bit of time off, and I was able to take a break, take some leave, and my 25-year-old son came and joined me for a little trip, and we went to Tanzania, and together we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And so that's the first time I'd ever climbed a major summit on a major continent. And Kilimanjaro is the largest freestanding mountain in the world, volcanic mountain. And we went through 7 different climate zones to get from the rainforest up to the summit at the glacier. So that was quite an interesting and rewarding experience, along with my other Navy buddies that went on that trip. That was a memorable experience. As a Navy officer, I was always cognizant of the fact that a leader needs to take care of the troops. And in cargo handling units that I was in, we learned basically that, the troops eat first and then the officers go and eat later with what's left. And if we take care of our troops, they'll take care of us. And that was an important lesson for me to learn about leadership and being a servant type leader, being the one to gather resources and tools and whatever people needed in order to do their jobs well. I see it as leadership's role to accumulate those resources and distribute them properly so that the people who need those things can have it to do their job well. Those technical experts, they're the ones who do the heavy lifting. They do the bulk of the real work that gets done. And being able to build that support mechanism and support network for that team is very, very important for them to have what they require to succeed and be as successful as they can be. I've been on deployment myself and knowing how things can go awry and knowing that particularly this year when people are economically challenged, we want to make sure that we don't know who's a veteran and who's not in our property database. There's no way for us to know that. And so our encouragement is that since this holiday is coming, Veterans Day is coming soon, we want to get the word out for veterans, especially, to go out and their families as well, search for unclaimed property in the name of their military member, their ancestors, their parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, anyone who might have served that was probably fairly mobile and maybe had a higher propensity of having unclaimed property. Search their names and get some claims filed so that we can process them and get that money back in their hands where it belongs. That's what our mission is about. And so because that population might have a higher percentage of unclaimed property than the normal population, we want to focus on them and give them a chance to get their money back. There's an interesting saying, some gave all and all gave some. Those who serve do so for patriotic reasons. And for me, my service in the military was a vision broadening experience. It widened my horizons tremendously. And I derive value from that experience myself as well, plus the satisfaction of knowing I was serving my country. There's always been a patriotic sentiment in my family. It's historical, it goes back for generations. And we hold our country dear, like most Americans do. And although we get some divisiveness that occurs, in political campaigns and things like that, the bedrock fundamental principles of freedom that we have in this nation are built on the sacrifices of those who have gone before us. And regardless of the challenges that we face in this country, whether it's natural disasters, pandemics, threats from outside, threats from inside, the American people always rally to support one another and to band together and oppose the things that are threatening to our freedom. That's one of the legacies of the United States that I think we should be very proud of and recognize the sacrifice of our military members who lay their lives on the line in the cause of freedom should be honored and recognized. And so maybe they've gone to their reward in the great beyond, and their family members are still here and have recollections about those people. Well, if they left unclaimed property, then those heirs should claim it. They're entitled to it. We hold on to those things in perpetuity, which means forever. So they're always available to claim by the heirs. And so if those members aren't alive anymore, then their family should step forward and claim that on their behalf. And it's our job to put that in the hands of the rightful owner. And that's what we do every single day of the year.